Obese Girl's Heartwarming Journey, discover the incredible support that changed her life forever. Emma sat on the sidelines of her high school, invisible to her classmates who laughed and joked as they filled the airy cafeteria with their chatter. She felt like a shadow, retreating from the light of friendship. At 16, she was caught in a thick fog of loneliness, struggling with her weight and battling the insecurities that seemed to grow alongside her. Her single mother, battling 2 jobs just to scrape together enough for rent and food, had little energy left for heart-to-heart talks. Emma yearned for acceptance, but the closer she got to her peers, the further away they seemed, but hope arrived one humid Saturday morning at the community center, a place of vibrant colors and the smell of fresh paint. Mr. Thompson, a retired military veteran with a warm smile and battle-worn hands, beckoned her toward him. "You've got potential, Emma," he said, his eyes shimmering with sincerity. That day, they began their walking sessions. Every step was a challenge, but also a triumph. With each session, Emma not only lost weight, but she felt her murky self-esteem begin to lift just a little more. Then came those highly anticipated weekends when Emma and Mr. Thompson would talk about dreams and ambitions as they moved through the park. He encouraged her to dream big, reminding her, success isn't measured by size, but by heart. Emma felt something in her blossom, a confidence she had never fathomed. Yet, as her self-assurance grew, she felt the pang of jealousy rippling from Sarah, her best friend since kindergarten. "You think you're better now?" Sarah asked one day, her voice trembling. Emma's heart sank. Was their friendship strong enough to weather this tension? Meanwhile, the grind of reality tugged at Emma too. Her mother's stress was a constant shadow over their lives, and with the factory job working long hours, they barely sat together anymore. When Emma shared her desire to enter a local 5K to prove to herself she could do it, her mother's eyes looked distant. "You need to focus on school," her mother replied sharply. Emma felt crushed. How could she chase her dreams if her own mother didn't believe? "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. As race day approached, every little whisper from classmates felt like a dagger in her heart. What if I embarrass myself? Emma wondered, her palms sweating as anxiety bubbled up inside her. She still remembered that training session, the laughter and ridicule that echoed when she stumbled while running. It replayed in her mind, taunting her, threatening to derail her progress. Could she really pull this off? With each pound she lost, she felt lighter, yet the weight of judgment loomed over her. As she stood at the starting line, surrounded by a crowd of eager faces, she couldn't shake the doubt creeping in. Would she really be the girl who conquered this race, or would she forever be that girl they laughed at? In this pivotal moment, more than a race was at stake, so was her heart. Emma took a deep breath. Would she rise above the fear and redefine what it meant to be strong and beautiful? The air was electric with anticipation as Emma stood at the starting line, her heart racing like a drumbeat echoing through her entire being. Every other runner seemed to pulse with energy and confidence, while she felt like an imposter in the midst of athletes ready to take on the world. The sun hung high in the sky, its warmth wrapping around her like a hug, but she couldn't shake the cold grip of fear that tightened around her chest. As the announcer called everyone to attention and the countdown began, she glanced towards Mr. Thompson standing to the side, his approval shining like a beacon. The thought of his encouragement pushed her forward, even as doubts flickered through her mind. "You can do this," she whispered to herself, squeezing her eyes shut for just a moment. Bang! The starting gun fired, and in an instant, Emma found herself part of the surge. Legs were moving all around her, but she held her own pace, slowly breaking free from the shadows of doubt that had held her captive for so long. Each step felt like a new promise, a radiant act of defiance against the laughter, the stares, and all the shame she had endured. As she rounded the first corner, she caught sight of Sarah in the crowd, waving and clapping. There was a flicker of something. Was it pride? Hope? Emma couldn't pinpoint it, but it filled her with a sudden rush of strength. In that heartbeat, she wasn't just running for herself. She was running for every moment when she felt small, for every tear she had shed in loneliness. This was her moment to shine. With every passing mile, bits of her anxiety melted away. The rhythm of her breath became a steady reminder that she was capable, that her body once a prison was now becoming her ally. Yet, just as she settled into that rhythm, she heard voices behind her, snickering and mocking. Look at that girl. What is she trying to prove? Came the faint, barbed taunts, mingling with the shouts of encouragement from supportive friends and family. Emma's heart dropped for a second. But then she thought of Mr. Thompson's words. Success isn't measured by size, but by heart. It hit her then. This wasn't just about the finish line, but about defying expectations, about showing everyone, including herself, that she was more than a number on a scale. She was strength. She was her own kind of beautiful. The crowd surged as she entered the final stretch. Emma could see the finish line ahead, a shimmering banner that promised more than just victory. It whispered of a transformation. With grit filling her lungs, she began to sprint, her legs moving faster than ever before. For the first time, she wasn't just running away from fear, she was racing toward her dreams. As she crossed the finish line, a flood of emotions burst free. Tears of joy streamed down her cheeks as she heard the cheers of encouragement resonate around her. You did it. You actually did it. Sarah rushed towards her, wrapping her arms around Emma tightly. Did you think I'd give up? Emma chuckled, half laughing, half crying. But just as her heart swelled with triumph, a shadow crossed her joy. Her mother stood stiffly near the finish, eyes wide and expression unreadable. Did she see her daughter as a success or a failure? That question loomed like a cloud, heavy and dark. What would Emma say next? Would she find the words to reach out, to bridge that gap? Emma felt a mix of hope and fear flood through her as she turned to face that pivotal moment. Emma's heart thundered in her chest as she wiped the tears from her cheeks. She had just crossed the finish line, but standing before her was the one person whose opinion mattered most. Her mother's expression was hard to read, like the blank pages of a book waiting to be filled. Taking a deep breath, Emma took a step toward her mother. Mom, she began, her voice shaky but determined. For a moment, her mother looked past her, searching the crowd, perhaps looking for someone else, someone who met her expectations. Emma felt the hurt rise inside her, the familiar sting of inadequacy creeping back. But she squashed it down with a surge of resolve. Mom, I did it. Her mother shifted, finally focusing on her. You ran. It was more of a statement than a question, and her tone held a mixture of incredulity and something deeper, surprise, maybe? Emma swallowed hard. I finished, even when I didn't think I could. I thought you'd be proud. The silence stretched between them, thick and uncomfortable. Emma could see the muscles in her mother's jaw tightening. Would she ever understand the fight Emma had inside her? Before she could second-guess herself, Emma pressed on. This wasn't just a race for me. It was about everything I've struggled with, everything you've seen me struggle with. I ran for myself, for every time I felt like I wasn't good enough. Her mother's brow furrowed, and Emma noticed her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Emma, she said slowly, I just want you to be happy. But I am happy, Emma insisted, feeling the weight of those words. I've never felt this free or alive before. Sarah's encouraging voice broke into their moment. Emma, let us get a picture. You did it. Emma nodded, but she hesitated. It was bittersweet, looking at her best friend, who was bursting with joy. What would her mom think of a picture of her daughter, proudly wearing her medal? Would she see success or just another moment of failure reflected in those smiles? As she posed next to Sarah with her medal gleaming in the sunlight, Emma's heart raced again. I need you to see me, Mom. She thought fiercely. The camera clicked, capturing this moment, yet so much was unsaid. When Sarah turned to gather more friends for another photo, Emma took a small step backward, looking at her mother. I want us to talk. Really talk. Her mother's expression softened just a fraction, and Emma felt hope darting through her. Maybe this was the moment, the turning point they both needed. Can we meet after? Away from all this? Her mother hesitated, a flicker of concern crossing her face. Emma's breath caught. What if she said no? But finally, she nodded, a tentative agreement that hinted at possibilities. Okay, she said slowly. Let us meet. As Emma turned back to rejoin her friends, she felt lighter. Maybe, just maybe, this wasn't just about finishing the race. It was about crossing the barriers that lay between her and her mother, but deep down, a new worry took root. What if their conversation fell flat? What if her mom didn't understand the real Emma at all? Emma pushed the thought aside, focusing on the cheers around her. The day had been a revolution of sorts, and yet, uncertainty loomed on the horizon. What awaited her in that conversation? As her heart filled with both excitement and apprehension, Emma knew she was on the brink of another transformational leap. Would her mother finally embrace the woman she was becoming? With that question lingering, she stepped into the crowd, ready for whatever it could bring. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm glow over the park, Emma's heart raced not just from her earlier triumph, but from the thought of what lay ahead. Every step she took felt electric, both thrilling and terrifying. She weaved through groups of jubilant runners and cheering spectators, their voices a backdrop to the chaos of emotions churning inside her. Emma! Sarah cried, bounding over with her trademark exuberance. You were amazing out there. Did you see how fast you were? I can't believe how far you've come. Emma managed a smile, even though parts of her still felt heavy with expectation. Thanks, Sarah, she replied, her voice brightening with her friend's enthusiasm. But as the reality of her looming talk with her mother gnawed at her, Emma felt her smile falter. Hey, are you okay? You look a little not yourself, Sarah said, studying her intently. I'm just nervous, Emma admitted. About talking to my mom. I mean, I really need her to understand. Of course she will. You just showed her how strong you are. Sarah exclaimed, her eyes wide with assurance. Emma wanted to believe that, but doubt crept in, mingling with the excitement of victory. As they moved through the crowd, the post-race energy was palpable. The laughter, the hugs, the bonds being formed, and yet, Emma felt a strange pull inside her, like gravity weighing her down. Would this elation last once the cheers faded? Let us go grab some smoothies, Sarah suggested, sensing Emma's tension. You deserve a reward after that incredible race. Emma followed her friend toward the nearby smoothie truck, the brightness of the colorful stand momentarily distracting her. She ordered a berry blast and watched as Sarah excitedly chatted with the vendor. But with every passing second, the upcoming conversation loomed larger. Emma pulled out her phone and stared at the screen, wondering if she should text her mother. Would that make it easier or risk breaking the fragile thread of connection they had just begun to weave? Hey, let us sit over there, Sarah interrupted her thoughts, pointing to a shady spot. The moment they settled on the grass, Emma felt the tension crackle in the air between them. What if it doesn't go well? Emma voiced her worry, her voice small. Then it doesn't. But you won't know until you try, Sarah insisted, a calm conviction in her tone. Sometimes, the biggest battles aren't against the world but the ones with the people we love. You'll face it, Emma. You've already taken so many steps. Emma nodded, absorbing her friend's advice. Stepping outside her comfort zone had taken everything she had during the race, and now this conversation felt like an extension of that fight. Finish your smoothie, Sarah urged, cradling her own and taking a sip, and then you'll be ready. As Emma drank, the coolness settled on her tongue, refreshing her in a way that reminded her of that freedom she had just tasted on the course. It ignited her resolve, fueling her determination to dive into the unknown for the sake of connecting with her mother. "I'll do it," she whispered to herself, her heart still pounding but now sinking with a purpose. The sun dipped lower still, shadows lengthening around them. Emma glanced around, caught in a whirlwind of hope, anxiety, and a hint of excitement. "Do you think she'll really listen?" "I think she'll hear you," Sarah replied softly, the sincerity in her eyes grounding Emma. With one last sip, Emma felt the weight begin to lift. The countdown to their meeting ticked away in her mind, and she steadied herself. "All right," Emma breathed out, a flicker of courage igniting within. "Time to face the music." As they stood to leave, Emma took a deep breath, emboldened by possibilities. But, as they made their way to the meeting spot, a sudden shadow of doubt cast over her. What if she doesn't want to talk? That question hung heavy, twisting in her gut. The truth was, she couldn't predict how their conversation would unfold, or what it would reveal about both of them, yet through that uncertainty came a new determination. Would this be her moment of truth, or a pitfall? The answer awaited just a step ahead, an unpredictable path she was finally ready to explore. With her heart pounding in rhythm with her footsteps, Emma moved forward, ready to embrace whatever came next. As Emma approached the familiar cafe where she and her mother had shared countless cups of coffee, every step felt heavier. The chatter and laughter from the nearby park faded into the background, drowned out by the rushing thoughts in her head. What would she say? How could she express the whirlwind of emotions she'd felt over the past months? "Remember, just be honest," Sarah encouraged, her voice light yet firm beside her. "You've got this." Emma nodded but felt the knot tighten in her stomach. She wanted to believe in Sarah's unwavering confidence. Too often, though, she felt the words trapped inside her, trapped by fear of judgment and misunderstanding. This wasn't just any conversation. It felt like everything hinged on her next words. The cafe stood before them, bathed in the golden hue of the setting sun. With a deep breath, Emma pushed open the door. The familiar bell chimed overhead, and Emma's heart quickened. Her mother was sitting at their usual table, a steaming cup resting in front of her, her fingers wrapped around it for warmth. Just seconds of eye contact grew into an eternity, and Emma's heart raced at the sight of her mother's soft smile. It was warm, inviting, yet Emma could sense a hint of apprehension. "Emma. I'm so glad you made it." Her mother's voice was steady, but Emma could feel the swell of emotions underneath. "Hi, Mom," Emma replied, her voice almost a whisper. As they hugged, the warmth flooded through Emma like the berry smoothie she had just enjoyed. But the moment was fleeting, and when they separated, the reality of the conversation loomed large. Both women settled into their chairs, the air between them thick with unspoken words. Taking a deep breath, Emma felt the weight of all she wanted to convey. "I've been thinking a lot about everything," she started, her voice wavering but gaining strength with every word. "About my running, my feelings, and what it all means to me." Her mother leaned in, listening intently, her face softening in comprehension. "One thing I realized is how much I want you in my life, supporting me, understanding me. I want you to see me." Emma's words spilled out, flooding the space between them. A wave of emotions crossed her mother's face. "I do see you, Emma. But sometimes I can't help but worry," her mother admitted, her voice trembling just slightly. "I worry about your health, your happiness. I just want the best for you." That sense of wanting safety clashed against Emma's need for autonomy and acceptance. She felt a pang of emotion at the vulnerability in her mother's eyes. "I know, and I appreciate that. But I need a chance to show you how I can take care of myself." Emma's heart beat louder now. Each pulse resonated with the fear of rejection and the hope of connection. Her mother frowned, breaking eye contact. "I do want to understand you better, but it's hard for me to let go." "We can face this together," Emma urged, wishing her mother could feel the strength she found in herself. I just need for you to trust me, to give me that chance. A pause stretched between them, heavy and thick, like the air before a storm. Emma searched her mother's face, looking for any sign of what might come next. Okay, her mom finally replied, her tone wavering. I'll try. But can we talk more about this? I want to understand everything. As Emma nodded, a swell of relief washed over her. They had taken the first step together, and although uncertainty still danced on the edges of that conversation, a flicker of hope ignited within her, but just as she began to feel a sense of accomplishment, her phone buzzed in her pocket. Emma glanced at it, her heart plummeting at the sight of the message. It was from her dad. Can we talk? In that moment, Emma's emotions shifted from triumph to dread. The support she had just begun to build with her mom felt fragile again, and now she faced a new dilemma, one that might shake the ground they had just found. What could her father possibly have to say? Emma stared at her phone, her fingers trembling as uncertainty pulsed through her. How could she face her dad right now? She had just taken a monumental step with her mom, and the last thing she wanted was to revisit her father's unpredictable emotions weaving through her already heavy heart. Her mother noticed her hesitation. Emma, everything okay? There was concern lingering in her mother's voice, an urgency that made Emma's heart ache. It's just. Emma hesitated, glancing up. It's Dad. Do you want to read it? Her mom's tone shifted, moving from concern to gentle encouragement. I'm here if you need to talk about anything. Emma pressed her lips together, hesitating but knowing her mother was trying to extend a lifeline. Swallowing hard, she unlocked her phone and read the message again. Can we talk? What do you think he wants? She whispered, almost to herself. The thoughts raced. Was this about past mistakes? An apology? An attempt to connect? Honestly? Her mom replied, leaning in. It could be anything. But it's okay for you to decide what you want. Taking a deep breath, Emma looked her mother in the eye. What if he wants to say he is sorry but, he doesn't know how? That's possible, her mother replied, her tone cautious yet filled with empathy. But it's also possible he wants to understand you too. Just like I do. The words hung in the air, blending with the rich aroma of coffee and warm pastries. Emma's heart began to race again, but this time it was accompanied by something that resembled courage. What if he doesn't understand? The knot in her stomach tightened again. Then remember, that's not your responsibility. He may surprise you. Emma gave a slight nod but felt half-hearted as she sent a quick reply, sure, let me know when. As her mother took a sip of coffee, Emma sensed a stillness wash over them, a moment of connection that felt fragile yet grounding. You've come so far already, Emma, her mom said softly after a moment. This is a journey about you gaining the strength to be yourself. Your father can either support that or not, but what matters most is that you believe in yourself. The warmth from her mother's words wrapped around her like the comforting embrace of their shared memories. Emma realized that leap after leap of faith wouldn't always be easy, especially with daunting conversations ahead. But maybe each step mattered more than she calculated, propelling her forward into uncharted territory. Feeling the stirrings of motivation, she took another deep breath. You're right. I have to believe in me first. That's the spirit. The pride in her mother's eyes sparked a hopeful glow inside Emma's heart, yet, just as confidence swelled, doubt snagged at the edges again. What would her dad say? Would he be the brick wall she feared, or could there be a crack of understanding? The silence in the cafe brimmed with unvoiced fears and possibilities. Their conversation had opened a door, but the pathway ahead still twisted with uncertainty. I guess this is just the start, she said quietly, looking outside where the sun began to dip lower in the sky, painting the world in tones of orange and pink. Every start is a chance, Emma. And guess what? You're already writing your own story, her mom reassured, her tone radiating unwavering support. As they shared a smile, Emma's phone buzzed again, interrupting the blissful moment. The screen lit up with a new notification, and her pulse quickened. It was from her father once more. Can we meet? Her heart seized, battling that familiar storm of anxiety and a flicker of hope. Emma had taken one step into vulnerability with her mom. Now, the next step loomed ahead. Would she take a leap into the unknown with her father? Before she could fully process it, a wave of emotions washed over her again. The future was uncertain, yet Emma could feel the ground shifting beneath her towards something transformative. And deep down, she was ready to embrace it if only she could find her voice. Emma sat in the cafe, her phone resting heavily in her palm, the message from her dad glaring like an unresolved riddle. Could she meet him? The words twisted in her mind, sparking a mix of emotions she could hardly contain. A knot tightened in her stomach, but somewhere beneath the anxiety, anticipation flickered. Do you think he means it? She suddenly asked her mom, her voice barely above a whisper. Means what? Her mom replied, looking up from her coffee, courage and concern mingling in her expression. Like, does he really want to talk? Or is this just another attempt that won't go anywhere? Emma felt her throat tighten, the weight of the question pressing down hard on her heart. Her mom leaned forward, her eyes steady and kind. Honey, it's hard to say. But if you want to know, the only way is to meet. Emma let out a shaky breath. It was so simple yet felt monumental. She thought about all the times in the past when uncertainty had crippled her, the endless cycles of hope and disappointment with her dad. But something about today felt different. Maybe it was the newfound courage stemming from her earlier conversation with her mom. I guess Emma looked out the window, where the sky was darkening, the orange hues of sunset fading into twilight. It's now or never. I'm tired of being afraid. Good for you. Her mom beamed. Finding strength is not about never being scared, it's about acting despite the fear. The encouragement fueled a flicker of resolve within Emma. Okay. I'll do it. I'll meet him. Just remember to go easy on yourself, her mom advised. Whatever happens, know you've already made great strides. This is just one more step in your journey. As they finished their coffee, Emma felt a strange mix of exhilaration and fear wash over her. She could hear her heart thumping in her ears, the cafe's ambient noise fading as her mind raced ahead to the impending meeting. Later that evening, she sat in her room staring at the wall, which felt like it was closing in on her. Distant sounds of cars and laughter filtered through the window, but inside her heart, it was quiet. She picked up her phone again. The minutes dragged on, and she could almost feel the urge to freeze time, to hold on to this fleeting moment longer. With a sudden burst of conviction, she texted her dad back, tomorrow. Let us meet. Instantly, doubt swept in. What had she just done? Would he actually show up? Would he even know how to start? The possibilities were as daunting as they were endless. She lay back on her bed, her thoughts spiraling, replaying all the past disappointments, the conversations that had never gone the way she hoped. Taking a deep breath, she tried to settle herself. Focus on what you can control, she murmured, echoing her mother's words. Tomorrow was a chance, a doorway to potential understanding. Before sleep claimed her, she thought of the very first steps she had taken towards her own truth, her own identity, how far she had come. They had shaped her, pushed her into this moment. But would her dad be willing to respect that journey too? As exhaustion pulled her under, one question lingered: would she be able to voice the truth within her? The early morning sun broke through her curtains, warming her face with its gentle touch. Emma realized she had to prepare herself. This was not just about their meeting, this was about her. Standing in front of her mirror, she practiced her words, the tangible hopes swirling in her chest. Tomorrow could change everything. And with that thought, she braced herself for a confrontation that might finally shatter the silence. Emma's heart raced as the clock ticked closer to the hour of her meeting. She had chosen a small park near the cafe where she had felt so alive the day before. The fresh air was supposed to calm her nerves, but it seemed to electrify them instead. Each rustle of the leaves felt like a whisper of uncertainty, teasing her with fragments of what-ifs. Dressed in the softest sweater she owned, a muted teal that matched her eyes, Emma pulled her hair into a loose bun, hoping to keep it out of her face. She envisioned her dad walking through the entrance, a man she had built up in her mind from memories and imaginations that occasionally clashed with the cold reality of absence. What would he look like? Would he smile? Would he recognize the woman she had become? As she approached the designated bench, her palms felt damp, and she rubbed them against her jeans, willing the anxiety to dissipate. She scanned the park, the children laughing, couples strolling hand in hand, and seniors feeding pigeons. It all felt like background noise to the symphony of her hopes and fears. "Breathe, just breathe," she whispered to herself. Yet, even as she repeated the mantra, a flicker of doubt sparked inside. What if this had been a terrible idea? What if he didn't show up? The thought churned in her stomach, making her question her decision. One part of her longed to turn back, to walk back home into the safety of her walls, where everything was predictable. But another part pushed her to stay, urging her to embrace the possibility of new beginnings. Moments stretched into what felt like lifetimes, and Emma's mind wandered to when she had first learned about standing up for herself. It had been in middle school, when she used to hide behind oversized sweaters, afraid of both the world and of being noticed. She had spent years building a fortress around her heart, and now she was attempting to tear it down, brick by brick, and then she saw him, a figure distantly framed by the fading light. Emma's heart raced as he approached. The years had transformed him, as they had her. A hesitant smile worked its way across his face, and she felt a rush of emotions flood her. "Emma," he said, his voice carrying a mixture of uncertainty and hope. "Dad." The one word carried everything: yearning, sadness, anger, and hope. She had spent nights practicing this moment, but none of those rehearsals could encapsulate the reality of facing him. Silence enveloped them as they took a moment to absorb the gravity of the situation. The sun cast long shadows, bridging the gap between their past and present. For a second, it felt like they were strangers, but the shared blood between them was undeniable, threading a connection that had never entirely broken. As she tried to gather her thoughts, her breath caught in her throat. "Why did you want to meet?" The question was basic yet profound, a plea for clarity echoing between them. "I have so much to explain," he said, his eyes glistening with something she wasn't sure how to decipher. Guilt? Regret? Before he could continue, 1,000 questions surged in Emma's mind. Could they unravel years of silence? Could they build something anew together? With every ounce of courage she could muster, she replied, "Then let us talk." And with those words, she took a seat next to him, feeling both fragile and strong, realizing that today was not just about her father's journey, it was equally about her own. Each heartbeat drummed with the thrill of vulnerability, and as she looked at him, hope flickered fiercely in her belly. Just then, a sudden breeze rustled the leaves above, and Emma wondered if that was a sign, a simple reminder that change could come even when it felt daunting. What would this conversation open up next? Would it lead to revelations or misunderstandings? She steadied herself, ready to confront whatever came next. The moment hung in the air, thick with tension and expectation. Emma could feel her heart thumping, each beat synchronizing with the whispers of the wind around them. She focused on her father, really looked at him. The lines on his face etched stories of time she hadn't lived. His hair was peppered with gray, and his eyes, once vibrant, now held shadows of regret and perhaps longing. "Emma," he began, but his voice faltered, as if years of unspoken words had tangled up in his throat. "Dad, please," she urged, leaning slightly forward, a mix of impatience and desperate curiosity bubbling within her. "Just say what you need to say." He took a deep breath, his eyes searching hers as if seeking a way to bridge the chasm of years. "I didn't know how to be a father. I thought I was doing what was best for you back then." The weight of his admission hit her like a wave. It was a painful acknowledgement, one that pierced through her lingering anger. "You thought leaving was what was best." She struggled to keep her voice steady. "I was afraid." His gaze dropped to the ground, the admission revealing a vulnerability she hadn't expected. "I was hurting too, and I didn't know how to help you when I couldn't even help myself." Emma's mind raced. It was hard to reconcile the man before her with the one from her childhood memories, the man who walked out, leaving her to piece together a life without him. Anger and empathy warred within her. If you were hurting, why didn't you reach out? I needed you. I know, he said, his voice thick. I was terrified of what you'd think of me. I thought being gone would save you from my mistakes, but I see now how wrong I was. I still loved you, Emma. I just didn't know how to show it. Her hands trembled slightly, and she felt the tears welling up. So why now? Why choose today to come back? The irony of sitting in this park, once a place of peace now turned turbulent, didn't escape her. I've spent years trying to work on myself to understand my choices. I learned a lot in therapy, he admitted, finally meeting her gaze again. And I realized that running away was a coward's way out. I'm so sorry for the pain I caused you. He reached for her hand, hesitated, then pulled back. Emma kept her hands folded in her lap, a silent signal that she wasn't ready for that connection yet. I want to try to be a better dad, he added, his voice cracking. But I understand if you're not ready to let me in. The sincerity in his voice stirred something within her. Hope. Fear. She couldn't quite tell. It was strange, feeling anger and sadness mingle with a flicker of something new. Could she allow him in? Could he really be the father she had longed for? Talk to me, she said, her voice softer now. Tell me what you did, what happened after you left. The air shifted around them, a tension releasing as he opened his mouth to share his truth. Emma felt both anxious and hopeful. This was the beginning of a conversation that could shape their tomorrow. But just as he began to speak, a child's laugh, a sharp, innocent sound echoed across the park. It reminded her of laughter that used to fill their home, a sound she had missed dearly. As she watched the child, a thought danced at the edge of her mind. Would they actually find a way to rebuild? Or was this a step toward more disappointment? Emma, her father's voice pulled her back, laced with both desperation and hope. Please, let me explain. The sky shifted to a deep blue as evening settled in, painting the moment with a hue of uncertainty. Emma inhaled deep, summoning the strength from within. What answers awaited her? What parts of the truth were still hidden in the shadows? She prepared to dive into this new territory, but one question lingered in her heart: could forgiveness truly blossom from this tangled past? The cool air settled around Emma as she listened intently to her father's words. Each story he began to unravel turned the past into vivid colors. When I left, I thought I was protecting you, he said, his voice cracking a little. But I see now how selfish that was. I thought if I stayed away, you'd find something better without me. With every confession, Emma felt the air shift, the frustration she had held on to began to melt just a little. I missed so much, didn't I? He continued, eyes clouded with regret. Birthdays, school plays, I spent too long running from the truth that I left you empty. Emma's heart quaked at the ache in his voice. Hearing him acknowledge his absence and her hurt was like peeling away layers of ice she had built to protect her own heart. Dad, I don't want to ignore the past. You vanished, it broke something in me, she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. It took years to learn to love myself and I still struggle. But I want to know the truth. She leaned forward now, curiosity mingling with apprehension, wondering if his honesty could fill the void left in her life. After I left, I buried myself in work. I thought it would numb the guilt. But all it did was isolate me. Therapy opened my eyes, it forced me to see my role in our family, and how I failed you. I'm not asking for forgiveness right now. I just want you to know that I see you. Emma felt a swell of emotion inside her. This wasn't an easy conversation, it was raw, exposing deep-seated pain. Yet, she couldn't ignore the flicker of something hopeful igniting within her. You said you want to try to be a better dad, but what does that even look like? She asked, a mixture of skepticism and hope filling her heart. I want to start by listening, he replied, his gaze steady. Not just for today, but every day. Your smiles, your struggles. I want to understand it all. I need you to know that I care, that you're my daughter, and I want to be a part of your life. The sincerity seeped from his words like sunlight pouring through a window, and for the first time, the door of her heart cracked open wider. I've been on my own journey to get healthier too. The past year has taught me that running isn't my way to cope anymore, she admitted. It's all a work in progress. Just like you. The corners of his mouth turned up slightly, a sign of relief, perhaps joy. Emma realized they were both vulnerable here, unfinished and growing. Maybe we can start fresh, one step at a time. Together, he nodded, the agreement hanging in the air between them. As the last light of day dimmed, Emma felt lighter inside, as if something was shifting for both of them. They weren't magically fixed, and it wouldn't be easy, but the connection they were forging felt genuine. Taking a breath, she braved the unknown. How about we take it one day at a time? Maybe, we could grab coffee together next week? A look of surprise flickered across his face. I'd like that more than you know, he said, a genuine smile breaking through. And just like that, as evening shadows wrapped around them, Emma understood that healing was not solely about the destination but also about cherishing every moment it took to get there. They may never have a perfect relationship, but today they had taken a step together, into the light of transformation. Emma reached out, tentatively placing her hand on his. For the first time in years, it felt like they were stepping into what could be a beautiful new beginning. It wouldn't erase the past, but it held the promise of building something new, brick by brick, with renewed strength. Emma looked towards tomorrow, ready to chase her dreams and to take her father along in her journey to discover who they might become together. Now that you've journeyed with Emma and her inspiring transformation, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will touch your heart. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. You guys make all the difference. And don't forget to comment your reactions and feelings about this heartfelt ending. You have a voice that matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this inspirational transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the love and encourage those around you. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.